The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. It gives me goosebumps every time he does it.
Oh hey dudes and dudettes. I didn't see you there, I'm a little hard at work gaming right now. You may know me from my Call of Duty review.
This game is an absolute marvel, it's original, and we've never seen anything like it before.
Or my Breath of the Wild review.
This game is unpolished and confusing. The lighting looks weird. What an embarrassment for Nintendo.
Or
if you press the fire button, the gun will fire. This game makes no sense. I haven't made it past the tutorial yet, however, this game was made by Naughty Dog.
Now, today is a day that's very near and dear to my heart because we're going to be looking at the new Spider-Man game, Spider-Man Miles Morales.
In my research for this video, I was able to unearth some interesting facts about the character of Spider-Man. For instance, before he was in this game, or even this semi-successful movie, he was actually originally a comic book character created by a guy called Stan Lee. And even weirder, in the comics he's depicted as a white guy. Anyways, this game is a follow-up to the game Spider-Man on PS4. Now let me tell you, that game is absolutely awful. For instance, they couldn't even think of a cool subtitle. It's not called Spider-Man Far From Home, or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, or even Spider-Man 2. It's just called Spider-Man. What were they thinking? Could they get any lazier? And again, just like in these weird comic books, for some reason Spider-Man is this white Peter Parker guy, who I don't even like because he's a stupid nerd. Get the fuck out of here. And even worse, they released a trailer where there's water here, but then in the actual game, there's no more water here. 7.8 out of 10. Now, in 2020, we finally got the sequel, and let me tell you, this one's awful too. Unfortunately, when I tried to get a copy, the game had already been sold out. However, I was lucky enough to score a copy at my local garage sale from my very friendly neighbor. First of all, when I started up the game, I was greeted with the familiar sights of New York City, just as I remembered it from the previous game. However, this time around, for some reason, Spider-Man wasn't even red anymore. What an embarrassing mistake. It was admittedly very fun to kill the citizens of New York, which I wasn't allowed to do last game, no matter how hard I tried, so I'll give the game that.
The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
Then I kept playing, and I eventually met Miles Morales, who is indeed a cool black version of the Spider-Man protagonist I was playing as. But this confused me because I thought Spider-Man was Miles Morales, and if I was Miles Morales, then how could this guy also be Miles Morales? It just didn't make any sense. Talk about skipping writing 101. So I decided to pirate the game instead, and the version I found here made a little more sense. The only downside to me pirating the game is that now every time I try to log into my computer, some Chinese characters appear that I can't read and I can't get past the screen. It's quite annoying, and it does kind of subtract from the game experience when I can't play it, but I'll give the developers the benefit of the doubt and assume this is a bug they're soon to patch. Speaking of different ports, let's just take a moment to appreciate how much better the game looks on PS5 than PS4. Absolutely stunning difference. Immediately, I have complaints. First of all, the pacing is too fast. As everyone knows, a Spider-Man game should be a slow-burning crime drama. I think a show like The Wire really exemplifies what kind of story this game should have been trying to emulate. But no, instead, it's fast-paced. What the heck? Hold on to your hats, guys, because you're not going to believe this next one. Someone really dropped the ball over at PS5 Studios. Miles Morales turns invisible at multiple points throughout the game. But according to the scientific paper I just found, it's not possible with current technology to turn invisible. What were they thinking? How could they possibly have let an error like this slip? Now, one improvement from the last game is definitely the presence of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen. Last game, all we got was the diminished swagger of a white adult, which just didn't do it for me. There's hip-hop music playing, which is very cool and swaggery, and I get goosebumps when Miles looks at me with his sexy spider eyes, off to make the world a better place and maybe even kill a few New Yorkers along the way. However, this was not enough to save the game. Lastly, I'll address how the game constantly rips off the movies. This part is a ripoff of Spider-Man Homecoming because he's using his webs in this way to stop a thing from falling into the water, like in Spider-Man Homecoming. This part is a ripoff of Spider-Man 2 because he's swinging across the buildings in New York with a spider web, just like in this cool scene at the end of Spider-Man 2. And this scene is a ripoff of Spider-Man 3 because Spider-Man is black. Look guys, if you can't come up with new ideas, I get it, but at least change the ideas you're stealing, come on. I will say this, the game did have great music. And I really liked the side mission where you deliver pizza.
Oh good, my pizza. Thank you very much.
But overall, the game was an embarrassing, train wreck, absolute disaster. It's ugly, annoying, loud, and unbearable consistently. So that's why it's only getting 8 out of 10.
The way he leaps off of rooftops and flips backwards to face the camera before falling into a headfirst dive is just full of the exaggerated swagger of a black teen.